to the show. We are on Sportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio. ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You could be a part of Unsportsmanlike Nation on the Dr. Pepper call-in line at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. ESPN Nation presented by Dr. Pepper. It's on college football season without the delicious taste of an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. College football, it's a Pepper thing. Alt 98.7 in LA, Chargers Radio Network, as the Chargers blow out the Vikings on Thursday Night Football, 37-10 last night. Justin Herbert, 227. 3 touchdowns. Did have a pick. Could have had a pick 6 early. Got called back. 7 carries, 62 yards for the quarterback for the Chargers. And Carson Wentz, banged up as could be. Not a great performance by him, and not a great performance by the Minnesota Vikings as they lose by 27. Along with Michelle Smallman, Chris Canty, Evan Cohen. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today?
I'm doing okay. Before we get to the breakdown of Thursday Night Football, somebody got some explaining to do with our parlay. Somebody got some explaining to do. Because all I know is we had Justin Jefferson go over 6 catches. We had Carson Wentz throw a pick. Who was responsible for Jordan Addison 60-plus yards receiving?
I think that was Evan Cohen.
That was Evan Cohen?
I think that was Evan Cohen.
So he's the one as to why we didn't make some money last night on ESPN Bet?
Yep.
Yeah, did you have an X-ray table?
If I did, I would have gotten it right.
Oh, okay. You said you were playing cards.
If I was able to see it, allegedly, I would have been able to. I would have been able to get it right.
Well, we need to launch an investigation as to why you thought Jordan Addison would go over 60 yards receiving with Carson Wentz as his quarterback.
Yeah, it's not a great take.
It's a terrible take.
Not a great take. Yeah, not great by me. Did have a touchdown.
It doesn't help the parlay have.
Right?
No,
right?
I understand.
If that was your parlay, if that was your pick for the parlay, cool. If it was Jordan Addison, 1+ touchdown, great.
He tells Vegas, hey, but he had a touchdown. Can we get the cash out or what?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's a great job by you, Evan Cohen.
Happens. It happens, and I got it wrong. So, yeah. So we have 3 straight weeks.
Could have had some extra walking around money this weekend. He's a bad guy.
Could have used it, you know?
I'm just saying, going out, date night.
I would have really liked that.
I'm just saying.
A little extra coffee?
That right?
That's right. Your wife is back.
She is back.
I know. I was texting with her.
She is back.
You were texting with her?
What? That is, as you know, that is actually
about bright red lines yesterday.
That is actually true.
Your wife is back. Terrible. I know. I was texting with her.
What?
Evan.
Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, I was texting with her too, but.
I mean, that is true.
Yes, but it did not sound right, sir.
I know. I was texting with her. It's crazy.
That is crazy work. Smalls, can you get us back on track, please?
I will. I will. So Carson Wentz and the Vikings, obviously.
Terrible.
Why is he still playing?
It's not great. What's up with J.J. McCarthy? When is he coming back?
I don't know, but J.J. McCarthy's injury can't be that bad where they continue to roll out Carson Wentz. He is awful.
It's not good.
The offensive line, they've got some issues. Guys in and out of the lineup. That was their 5th different starting combination of offensive linemen. I think they're on their 3rd center, something like that.
Banged up.
So the offensive line is not good. But Carson Wentz was all-time bad last night. I mean, the throw that he sailed the beginning of the 4th quarter when he was trying to target Justin Jefferson down the field, ends up getting picked off by Mickens. That is just a terrible throw. He was clean. It was a good pocket. They had a 7-man protection. All he's got to do is deliver a strike. Kevin O'Connell can't scheme it up any better than that. That is wide open by any standards, college or pro, and you just missed the throw. I don't know why you continue to go with Carson Wentz as your quarterback. This is a mess that Kevin O'Connell has created when it comes to his quarterback room in Minnesota.
He spoke after the game. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, after their 37-10 loss to the Chargers, about J.J. McCarthy, their first-round pick a year ago, as to what his status is.
You know, we worked out JJ and he was close, and JJ and the medical staff kind of didn't quite feel like he was there yet. But there was a lot of encouragement that, especially with the time we have Kevin and where he's at and the confidence level he thinks he can get to. If JJ's healthy, JJ will play. That's been the case since the injury, and that's always been kind of my mindset. And I believe we're right. Hopefully around the corner from seeing him be healthy, have a week of preparation, and go compete, because that's really, that's what he wants, and that's what he's been working towards.
So I heard that piece of audio coming in this morning on SportsCenter All Night here on ESPN Radio, and when I was talking to Nuno, our producer, pre-show, I said, we should play that, because the beginning of that is, I think, pretty interesting. Because Kevin O'Connell says we worked out JJ. We thought he was close, and then JJ and the medical team did not think that. And I'm not saying that there's a divide there. I just thought the beginning of that was pretty interesting, almost as if it comes off like Kevin O'Connell's like, yeah, he's ready, but if the medical team doesn't clear him, then he can't go. It's something to keep an eye on with this, because every single person that we've brought in to have the discussion as to what's going on, Dan Orlovsky yesterday after 7:30 a.m. Eastern, go back on the podcast and listen. Adam Schefter this week, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Eastern. Everybody's like, well, we're not sure. Like, it shouldn't take this long. And this is a weird situation. And I asked you guys yesterday, are they going to be in the market for a quarterback after the season in the first round of the draft? Or
you think they should be in the market for a quarterback after the season? Why not at the trade deadline? If J.J. McCarthy is not healthy enough to play, so much so that you keep rolling out Carson Wentz.
Yeah, bring back Kirk Cousins.
Then you got to find a quarterback.
No, you got to find that quarterback.
Exactly. Somebody
That's the
that
one.
already knows the scheme, plug and play. Go get him.
Yeah.
You can't afford to waste his roster.
And he would love that return. He would love that reunion. You know how much affinity he has for that city, for that organization. He's comfortable there. They're comfortable with him. It does feel like such a no-brainer. And, you know, what is this, the 5th straight game he's missed with this ankle? And if there is a division there at all about his return, this is a football team with a lot of talent. And you don't want to waste this moment or this opportunity.
No. Why? Listen.
They're a last-place team.
All the veterans in that locker room don't want to wait. Right, we talked about it yesterday. Harrison Smith, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Grenard, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hart. Those guys don't want to wait. They don't have a year or two to sit around while you try to figure out the quarterback situation. You got one of the best defensive coordinators, one of the best defensive play callers in all of football in Brian Flores, and he's got a defense that's just wasting away.
Right.
Because your offense can't figure it out. And everybody can miss me with the defense is not that good. They gave up 37. Listen, no defense can shut down an offense when they hold the ball for 39 minutes. And the reason why is because your offense can't do anything. And that's my biggest issue. Kevin O'Connell has got to figure it out. The general manager has got to figure it out. They need a bold move. Otherwise, they might as well wave the white flag because the rest of the division is running away.
You know, it's interesting, the Kevin O'Connell thing. So before the season, or right as the season started, there were all kinds of polls and rankings, and a bunch of people put Kevin O'Connell as the best coach in the league. And I remember us coming on the air and saying, this is so awful what we're about to do, but we have no choice but to do this, because while all three of us think Kevin O'Connell is an excellent coach, ranking him 1 is just, as Nuno says, a step you don't cross. Like, Andy Reid exists. Mike Tomlin exists. Like, you can't just put him 1. Nick Sirianni has been awesome. Sean McVay. This is not fair, what we're doing. But here's the thing. Why do we usually crown a coach as great? We crown a coach as great for one of 2 reasons. Winning enough to make a run in the playoffs, Super Bowl, etc., or winning without your quarterback. That's usually why we say, you know, this guy's pretty good, right? Zach Taylor a few years ago, it's like, wow, we didn't credit him for the Super Bowl. We credit him for Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening right now is an interesting kind of assessment of Kevin O'Connell, because Sam Darnold is good without him. Daniel Jones is good without him. He helped them, no doubt.
Yeah.
But Carson Wentz is bad with him. So let's ease up on 1 overall for Kevin O'Connell right now. The J.J. McCarthy assessment may not be a great one, let's be honest. And Smalls has been hinting at that, not hinting, saying it for the last 6 months of like, something's weird, something's like they're not pushing him through. They're still flirting with these other guys in terms of Rodgers and other, like, what's happening there? And now we're seeing it in full-fledged light here of what's happening. What is it? What do they do for the quarterback whisperer?
It's what it looks like when you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
But he's the quarterback whisperer.
That shows you the importance of the quarterback position. The Minnesota Vikings in 2025.
I think we've seen that with the Cleveland Browns year in and year out, have we not?
I mean, that's fair too. But I mean, we automatically assume that they have the head coach right.
Yes.
And you like a lot of the other pieces that are on that team. The biggest issue has been the quarterback. Now, of course, it gets exacerbated when you have an offensive line that's in flux, and that has to be stabilized. But I thought they did a decent job from an X's and O's standpoint of trying to give Carson Wentz some protection. He just didn't take advantage of it. And he made a lot of mistakes that you don't expect a veteran quarterback to make. So I guess that's the point that we're at with Minnesota. They've got to do something. Now, conversely, I thought there were a lot of good things for the LA Chargers last night. Mm-hmm. And I did not realize the impact that Joe Alt has on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Him being out of the lineup since week 4, it coincides with the slide that the Chargers have been on. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Him back in the lineup to hang 37 on one of what we believe to be the better defenses in the NFL.
And a good bounce-back win for them after losing to the Colts as well. I know that we've highlighted how Carson Wentz and the Vikings offense didn't do that team any favors, but this is what the Chargers needed. They needed a get-right game. It was great to have Joe Alt back in there, and we definitely put the Chargers in the bucket of we don't really know what this team is yet.
Yeah.
And so this was a very important win for them on a short week.
Let me tell you something. The Chargers are going to have something to say about the AFC West and the AFC as a whole. I'm not ready to discount this team just yet. I know everybody's been out on them after the last few weeks, but this is a good football team. And as they get healthier, they're going to create problems for others, right? And the version of Justin Herbert that we got last night, to me, that's the exciting aspect of it, because you saw he was willing to use his legs as a weapon. You saw it right there during the 2-minute drill, being able to take off, scramble. Last night, Justin Herbert had as many rushing first downs as he's ever had in an NFL game. If he's willing to do that, then it creates a whole lot more opportunities in the passing game, especially downfield. And if you can hit some of those deeper shots and have that along with the running game that Jim Harbaugh likes to bring to the party, then all of a sudden you got the makings of what could be a dominant offense.
They remind me a little bit situationally, not in terms of the way they play, but situationally, they remind me of Smalls' team, the Packers, where we're so down on them, but then you look at their record and you're like, oh, they're like fine. Packers are 4-1-1, the Chargers are 5-3. Like, oh, they're fine. We just don't think they're that great yet.
The Chargers had 29 first downs last night.
Against Brian Flores.
9 of 13 on third downs and 3 of 4 in the red zone. I mean, that is, they took the fight to the Minnesota Vikings, and 4 days after being out physical by the Indianapolis Colts, they asserted their will against an inferior opponent. It's exactly what you want to see. Their defensive line was hunting last night. I mean, they had 15 pressures, 8 quarterback hits, and 5 sacks on Carson Wentz. It's exactly what you want a Jim Harbaugh coach team to look like, all the way down to the colors, dark blue and yellow. I mean, that's what we got.
I know what you're saying. I just didn't see that one coming. We have had an ongoing bit on our show, which is not really a bit, it's truth, that a powder blue, Carolina blue uniform doesn't fit a Jim Harbaugh, hard-nosed, nasty team. Yep. Carolina blue is high-flying, run-and-shoot spread offense. Harbaugh needs to have darker colors if you want to have a hard-nosed, grimy kind of team like they have, that their uniforms are wrong. But not last night. That's why they won.
I'm just
for
saying,
11-year NFL.
Like
we don't have them here for no reason, guys.
It did.
It kind of looks like maize and blue.
It did.
Just going to put that out there.
Maybe they should stick with those.
Right? Right?
Coming up, scandal rocked the NBA yesterday. We will get you the latest on that after Cece has this from Granger.
Oh, man. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about? Around
the NBA, really in news in general, around the NBA betting scandal. You heard some of it there. Just to catch you up, if you're unaware, 3 members of the NBA community were arrested yesterday as they were linked to an alleged gambling scandal here. Chauncey Billups, Hall of Famer, head coach, Portland Trailblazers, Damon Jones, ex-NBA player and assistant coach, as well as Terry Rozier, guard Miami Heat for his actions in 2023 with the Charlotte Hornets. Just to kind of give you the Cliff Notes version of this for all 3 of them. Rozier allegedly was involved in a game in 2023 where he told a friend that he was going to take himself out of the game, in essence bet the unders. According to the indictments, what allegedly took place was that he told this friend this information. The friend won a ton of money, then showed up at Rozier's house with $200,000 of winnings for them. That's the allegations around Rozier. The allegations around Billups are maybe the most complicated because there are 2 indictments. One surrounds an illegal poker operation, and the other surrounds, obviously, the NBA gambling. As Billups is tied to both of them allegedly, where he helped lure high rollers into a rigged poker game by way of an X-ray table that would actually be able to see the cards and the way in which they were shuffling the cards. Somehow they were able to rig the game and cheat the game. Then he was allegedly tied to that, where that was an allegation around a tie to mafia, where they were using a celebrity type to roll in the high rollers. Let's just think about it logically. You out there, us, hey, really cool person that's really famous that you think is really cool invites you over to play poker, you're going to all be like, oh, cool, I'm in on that.
I can hang with an NBA Hall of Famer? Sure.
Yeah, where do I sign? We literally unintentionally did this. A week ago, we discussed if Michael Jordan showed up to my house, would I just give him my house? While that was a joke of a conversation, that is literally kind of what, picture it that way. Chauncey hanging out with somebody, the person makes a ton of money. Yeah, come on over, we're playing poker. Oh my God, Chauncey Billups just invited me, allegedly, to play poker. I'm in. Those games allegedly were rigged. In addition, in the same indictment that Rozier and Jones were mentioned, co-conspirator 8 was mentioned. Co-conspirator 8 played from a certain amount of time in the NBA, which aligned exactly with Billups' time, as well as coached in Oregon during the time that Billups was the coach in Oregon. He is not named by name, but he is linked as co-conspirator 8, and that was when the Blazers were tanking a few years ago, and he would tell people that were gambling, bet against us. Or, sorry, this person is not playing. Dame Lillard, whomever, is not playing. And Damon Jones is involved because he would share injury info with gamblers when he was an assistant coach, and the person in question, the person that he mentioned, who has zero to do with this, zero. This person is not involved with this at all, but it was about LeBron James not playing, thus bet the other team. In this case, it was Milwaukee. Again, I want to reiterate, LeBron James is completely 100% innocent. He has nothing to do with this, but he was such a great player and is such a great player that was the bet. That's kind of catching people up. Okay? But here's where it gets even more interesting. Brian Windhorst, the ESPN senior writer, Hoop Collective podcast, was on the Rich Eisen show, noon until 3 Eastern time here on ESPN Radio, and had this to say about an explanation needed from the NBA.
The NBA at some point is going to have to explain why Terry Rozier was allowed to keep playing. And I just want to point something out. Mm-hmm. The sports books caught the irregular betting on Terry Rozier the day it happened, the morning it happened, when all of a sudden there was hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in on Terry Rozier unders for a relatively meaningless game in March, mm-hmm. involving the Charlotte Hornets. The sports books caught it. They told the NBA right away, and guess what? The NBA, Rozier didn't play the rest of the season, and he had faked the injury, so it wasn't because of the injury. The NBA pulled him. They pulled Jonte Porter, too. They flagged Jonte Porter and pulled Jonte Porter. The NBA's, their protection measures, the sportsbook's protection measures, triggered this. They caught it. Uh-huh. The issue, I think, is, Jonte Porter, they caught, convicted, and tossed him out of the league within weeks. Rozier didn't. And this, in this investigation, and I don't know if Terry Rozier is guilty. The NBA obviously didn't feel that he was. They wouldn't have let him play.
That's a huge part of this. They cleared him. They let him back, and they allowed the Hornets to trade him without the incoming team having knowledge of these situations. This is, CC Smalls, this is wild. I think we have caught everybody up in a Cliff Notes version of this.
Yeah.
Your latest feelings around this are what?
Well, in regard to what Wendy just said, it's a difference between knowing something and being able to prove something. Mm-hmm. And if you can't prove something from an evidentiary standpoint, then you can't keep the player from having the opportunity to earn a living. You can't stop NBA business if you can definitively prove that they were involved in whatever betting abnormalities were taking place in and around his prop bets, over-unders in the game that he was taking place in. I assume, based on how swift the discipline was and the subsequent banning of Jonte Porter, that they had enough evidence. They had the forensics being able to go through, emails or phone records, text messages, et cetera, to be able to prove that Jonte Porter was involved in the prop bet scandal that he was accused of. And so for the NBA, when it comes to, quote unquote, clearing Terry Rozier and allowing him to continue to play, I don't know if they necessarily thought that he was innocent in all of it. I'm just not sure that they could prove anything with the resources they had at his disposal. And one thing we have to be clear about, the federal government has a hell of a lot more resources than the NBA does.
Sure.
So when it comes to their ability to do due diligence, their subpoena power, just their overall reach, they're going to be able to uncover a lot more than the NBA can. They can pressure a lot of other people, some of the other actors in this scandal, in a different way than the league office can. And I think that's why they were able to get further with their 2.5-year investigation than the NBA did when it comes to Terry Rozier specifically.
Yeah, to your point, this investigation spanned years and 11 states. So obviously having the FBI and their resources and their reach, as you mentioned, is incredibly important. And for the NBA, yes, you want to make sure that you get this right, but also this is an indictment on your league in a lot of ways. So you don't want to act until you're 100% sure, because this is going to have major ripple effects throughout your sport and how you operate moving forward. So I get your point, Evan, but I also understand from the NBA's perspective that they wanted to be prudent before they acted on this, because this is something that's going to be really major. Now, as this unfolded yesterday, it went from, okay, we heard about Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups is involved, to this unfolding in such a way where I was blown away by the scope of this, by the scope of this operation.
Which part specific? Like, which part where you're like, oh my God, what happened?
Well, it went from me thinking, okay, maybe one player is giving out information. Chauncey, we hear about the poker game, which is not what you were expecting initially when you heard Terry Rozier.
Which has nothing to do technically with the NBA.
So you're like, okay, because we heard it was separate but related. So you're like, okay, how is this connected? But then when this is all said and done and you realize it's 34 people involved, you have 4 crime families, this spans 11 states. They've had to look into this for years. You have an active head coach, a player, an assistant coach, someone that's tied to the second greatest player in the history of the game, and the face of the league. This is a really, really big deal. And it reminded me, again, yesterday, I thought a little bit completely different, but about Shohei Ohtani and his translator, Ipe Mitsuhara. And yes, that was different about getting money and paying off gambling debts. But if you're the NBA or you're any of these other sports leagues and you know that wagering is so omnipresent in your sports, not only are you now thinking about players and coaches, assistant coaches, you're also thinking about all these other people that are in these athletes and coaches' orbits that have access to this information. It's a very, very difficult thing for these leagues to try to police.
Wendy brought up an interesting point, Brian Windhorst, where he said, and Cece, you can confirm this for us, he said there's this sweet spot of an injury report and when the lineups come out in between of when a player is listed as a game time decision, where the player knows morning of a game, I'm not playing tonight. We just haven't announced that for competitive reasons for the other team. Like if you're listed as a game time decision in the NFL, I don't believe for a 1 o'clock Eastern game, you probably find out at 12:59, obviously, if you're I know it's an hour and a half before, but you probably know enough time in advance before the world knows that sweet spot of, you would never do this, but in the hypothetical of, oh, let me text a friend who I know is betting on it. I'm not playing, so you can then, that's what happened here.
I mean,
allegedly.
It's case by case basis, but there is a real thing like game time decision. I got to go out there on warm-ups and actually see whether or not I can play. So that
in
is
the case
real.
of the superstar NBA player, because I think it's probably different with your sport.
It's different in the NFL because everybody plays hurt.
Right.
So it's like there are degrees of it, and they're like, okay, am I hurt or am I injured? That's a fine line. Sometimes you don't know until you go out there and hit somebody. But in the NBA, you're probably right. Every game is one of 82 plus playoffs. So teams are going to be more conservative in terms of how they handle the players, especially with the level of investment that they're making guys making $50, $60, $70 million a year. That's not the NFL. So I understand what you're saying, and you're not wrong. There are some players that might know, the morning of a game that has a 7:30 tip. So
that in between.
You're not wrong. It's just a matter of being able to figure out what's the right time to announce it, as to not give the other team a